What's up, everyone? Thank you for tuning in again to another episode of the Healing Arts Academy. My name's Angelica, and I am an intuitive medium and a student of the shamanic arts. And I decided to do this little bit of a series of talking about how plant allies can help support us when we're feeling really, really intense emotions. And this series is about anxiety. I had taken a poll on my social media accounts, and anxiety won by a landslide. So we're going to talk about it here today. So the information that I am going to share with you guys, I will be super transparent about. The herbs that I have, let me put it this way, when I had tuned into recording these videos and sharing, my intention was asking the herbs what herbs wanted to step forward and what herbs wanted to be talked about. So first and foremost, what I am going to be sharing here is a bit of personal experience with it. It'll be majority of personal experience with it. If other herbs do call, I will share the medicinal qualities, but I'll be super transparent if I haven't worked with it myself just yet. My goal is to work with all the herbs as much as I can. And in doing this process of me sharing this information and sharing this world with whoever wants to listen, is me doing that. It's me learning and growing and learning about these plants and how they want to be spoken about and how they want to work with me and just continue building a beautiful partnership. So let's dive in. Anxiety is a really, really interesting and multifaceted human experience and emotion to feel. My goal with these videos is to share a little bit of understanding of how anxiety could be showing up in our lives. Honestly, those who watch this probably have experienced all of these different ways of anxiety, these different types, let's say. But the reason I'm sharing this and how I'm sharing it is intentional in a sense that it's easy for you to self-reflect and understand and digest so that the next time you have a certain experience that you can go for one of these plant allies and it can really help support you in alleviating the discomfort of anxiety. Anxiety can be a couple of different things. I've seen it a few different ways. Could be really, really discomfort like in the chest, in the heart space, in the throat area. Sometimes it's like so much tension and tightness, like you feel like you're being stretched. What's really interesting is if we take a little step lower and look at why the body's reflecting anxiety in this way, what I've noticed or what I've observed within myself and within clients is, on one hand, it can be the mind, and the mind can really race and really be latching on to a future experience, like an unwanted future experience. So a side effect of the anxiety and something that happens almost simultaneously is this sort of like racing thoughts and fear of an unwanted future. Another way that I have seen anxiety, or another way that it has shown up, has been when it's in that heart space, when it's in that chest. But think of it as like a density or coagulating energy or emotion. Like it's a really big emotion that's coming up, but it's stuck, and it's stuck in the heart space. And there can be other emotions that accompany it, like depression or sadness or fear or a lot of discomfort. And the last one that I will be talking about is this sense of, think of like frazzled overwhelm, where our nervous system is having a hard time regulating. So let's say we're having like high stressful seasons of life or a stressful situation that happens, and our nervous system is like tapped out and stretched, and we have this like overworked nervous system and body. We start to get like that like hollow anxiety, and sometimes we don't even know why it's there. We're just feeling anxious. And I find sometimes like the way this has shown up in my life on my healing journey has been when I'm like in an active space of healing. So like, let's say I'm working with a healer, just to help release and just help bring things in balance, and some anxiety starts to come up. Sure, it can get the mind going, and that can be like an after effect, but sometimes you just have these really like big emotions that come up, and there's this anxiousness to it, and it might not necessarily like be understood as to like what it's tied to. But what I have found is it really like it can be accompanied by stress and nervous system and just like dysregulation and just like this combination of like feeling really fatigued. So while we are going to be talking about those all and over the next couple of videos, the one I really want to center in on today is the anxiety when we've had like a really, when it's stuck in the heart space, when it's stuck in that throat, like in this area right here. And when we are in a space of like grief or sadness or depression. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So as you guys can see, I want you to like really take a close peek at the Hawthorn Berry. I'm going to be talking about the physical health benefits, but also the spiritual or the emotional health benefits, because this is honestly like one of my favorite herbs or berries or plants to talk about. And the reason why I love talking about it is because there's so much folklore that is like associated with this. And the use of this tonic or this herb dates back to like 1st century Rome. Like it has been known, it has been used or known as a sign of like love and marriage and unity. And it also has been used for literally centuries to heal broken hearts. So any woman who like lost their husband or child or whatever it may be where you're experiencing that really deep grief, they would actually prescribe hawthorn berries. And what's cool about its uses is you can actually use the berries, the leaves, and the flowers that are on the hawthorn berry tree. So you can use all those parts. I think I even read somewhere that sometimes some herbalists even use the thorns. I'm not familiar with that. I've only worked with the berries themselves. And actually one of my goals is to like find a hawthorn tree and see, because I would love to see the flowers and the leaves and everything and actually make a tonic from that. But so far, what I've worked with this far in my journey has been the hawthorn berry. So let's talk about the physical benefits. So the hawthorn berry actually helps support the cardiovascular system and the heart, and it supports the oxygen that flows through the heart, the cells that support the heart, the muscles of the heart, like the whole physical heart itself and the functions and the flow. It can help support that. So it really does help like regulate blood pressure. So from the energetic standpoint, if we look at like the emotional, this is known as like used in times or moments of tenderness. And what I mean by that is it's a gentle support for those that like might be feeling lonely or sad or depleted, or maybe they just need like an extra hug if you are experiencing grief, or like if you've just lost someone. This is a beautiful medicinal herb or berry to work with to support the emotional component of that part of healing. It's also a nervine, and honestly, when I started working, like when I started learning and started working more with the herbs, nervines were my favorite, because a nervine is an herb that can help calm you down in the moment, but it actually supports long-term repair of the nervous system. So let's say you're going through a season of life where like your nerves have been overworked, and maybe you've just been having a bout of sadness or loneliness. Like this helps to support the moment that you're feeling it, but it also helps support like longevity over time of re-energizing and rebalancing the nervous system. So as you can tell, I love working with this herb. When I was going through a really, really deep cycle of grief, I had to really, really actively process through some deep sadness and emptiness that was within my own heart. Honestly, it helped bring my heart back to life, but the healing that I did. But in particular, during that time, I used hawthorn berry, and I used it every single day. And what I would do is I would take 2 to 3 tablespoons. I did 2 tablespoons, sorry, in a big jug of water. And I would boil them for 10-15 minutes, because it's a berry. You just need a little bit more time with heat to extract the medicinal qualities. Because it is in the rose family, you can add like some rose petals to it. You can even add some cinnamon just to kind of make it like a more well-rounded tonic to drink, tea to drink. But I worked with this almost every day for about 3 weeks. And it really, really helped me in a gentle way process through some really deep sadness that otherwise would have been pretty scary to take like head on. So when I talk about hawthorn berry, I'm really happy that it stepped forward, because in those moments when I really needed that support, yes, I was feeling grief and sadness, but more importantly, I was having anxiety, and I wasn't really sure why it was there. And what would happen is that I had these big moments of like anxiousness coming up, where it's like, okay, I'm feeling anxious. I'm not really sure why. I don't know what I'm processing. And then a little bit after that, as I would kind of help move through it, maybe I would go for a walk, or maybe I would just sit with it, I would start to realize that there was just like this welling in my chest deep sadness. And that's why I then started working with Hawthorn Berry. It is in one of my signature like herbal blends, just because I feel like it can help support the physical body and the emotional body and the spiritual body so well. It's been one of my favorite to work with up until this point. The only people that should avoid this herb are those that have heart conditions or that are on beta blockers. So it's not necessarily that you should avoid it, but that you need to go and consult with a doctor first. And as I always say when working with any herb, pregnant, not pregnant, anyone, any medications you're on, I'll always share any interactions, but also always consult with a doctor no matter what if you have any questions or concerns. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. This is one of 3. And like I said, this one is really centered around anxiety that might be accompanied with, I might even put stress in there too. Stress, depression, sadness, grief, when we're kind of just in that really depleted, deep emotions, those deep emotions. That's when I would turn to Hawthorn Berry. So I would work with like 1 tablespoon in a big pot of water, and I would boil it for like 10 or 15 minutes. And then I would remove the berries and I would let it cool off a little bit. I might even add a cinnamon stick in there just like for the energetics of it. It would just really round out the Hawthorn berry and just kind of warm things up. And I would just drink it throughout the day, like the next day, and just see how you start to feel. Because the one thing I noticed about Hawthorn Berry when I worked with it is it was so gentle, but it brought in a sense of almost like euphoric, but not in a super heightened way. It's just like it helped me get through some of the layers of sadness, and it helped me get to like this gratitude space of like, yes, I'm going through a really difficult season of life, but that doesn't mean that that's it, right? It's not going to be like this forever. It's almost like it reignited hope, or reignited this deeper sense of gratitude within my heart. And I was able to sort of approach the sadness or approach the anxiety from a higher perspective. And honestly, that's great when you're in the emotion of it, because sometimes it feels like it's going to last like that forever, and that's how you're going to feel forever, and that's not the case. So when you ride that wave, this can help at least soften the wave to a little bit of a ripple, and you can keep moving forward. So let me know what you guys think. In the section below here, I'll just put the recipe or the formula if you guys do want to work with Hawthorn. And I hope that this helps supported you guys. And as always, thank you for being here. I'll be following up with the next 2 videos, and I'll see you guys soon.